And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Today we're taking a look at Boufbowl. Now Boufbowl is made from Ankama, who makes some fantastic looking games. One of the games they're most well known for is Crossmaster Arena, which has these little chibi style figures where their head is as big as the rest of their body. So in this game you are taking those characters and they're playing some sort of soccer football variant. It seems in these fantasy worlds when you make up some sort of sport, it's usually soccer, football, or soccer, but you can tackle the other person and beat them up. That's what this is. There's really no surprise. This is the same as any other fantasy sport, it seems, in these games. It's a two-player game. Let's take a look. Each team's going to have 5 players on their team, and the players are pretty much, symmetrical. Players are going to come with cards where it will give you your special abilities, unless of course the player is wounded, in which case your special ability is kind of taken out of the picture. But you can see they're even they have like an upgraded version if you want to play like a super version. There's all kinds of variants to this game, but players are also going to have their own deck of cards, and this deck of cards is what you're going to be using for a lot of the different things over the course of the game. So on your turn, what a player is going to do is they are going to first draw 2 cards in their hand. You have a maximum of 5 that you have. And then if you have anybody laying down for any reason, or if you have anybody who's dazed, these tokens are going to come off and you'll get to go. And then players are going to have 3 movement points. Now many times you're going to try to have majority in an area to have more people there than the other. But a lot of times you're going to have to roll off against your opponent. You're going to roll this die, and whoever gets more stars is going to win. It has 1 0, 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3 star. But cards are going to be able to modify that and the special abilities of the person himself. For example, Simon Jean, during a tackle, if they're attacking, they're going to get an extra star. This guy, when he's defending, he will get an extra star. During a pass or an up and under, if this player tries to do an interception, get a star. And that's kind of the whole point of this game. You have these 3 movements, so you can move this person 2 spaces, for example. You can move this person 3. You can move if you don't have majority because they block you. You can also use 1 movement point if someone's laying down to stand them up. You can grab the Boufbowl if you get a chance. You can also take a base action where you can try to pass the ball to somebody else. You can try to steal the ball from someone else, or you can just try to tackle someone if you're in the same spot as they are. Most of the time when you do this, you are going to, if you try to pass the ball, it's going to automatically happen. But if someone tries to intercept it, then there's an intercepting thing where you're going to be trying to roll more stars than your opponent. If you're going to try to tackle someone, you're trying to roll more stars than your opponent. If you're going to try to intercept the ball and take the ball away from someone, you're going to try to roll more stars than your opponent. When you knock somebody over, you're going to roll the die, possibly taking them out of the game temporarily, dazing them, or flipping them over. There's various things that you'll roll on a die. Your goal is to get the ball into your opponent's end zone where you'll get a touchdown, but even then you can stop. It's kind of like soccer this way. You'll just restart and go through. Like I said, the players have player cards, and you'll pick one person to be your captain. That's the person with the gold if you use that. And these cards are going to be used to just run through the different steps in the game, to give you special abilities when you attack people and things like that. There's even more than that. You can add power intensity cards, and these cards are going to be played. And like this person, I can give one of my characters, give them +1 when receiving a pass, or off balance +1 when trying to score a touchdown. So the game seems more complicated than it really is, but essentially you're just getting more stars as you go through. And so you're just going to go back and forth trying to score goals, and whoever has more goals is the winner, or the first person to score a certain number of goals is the winner, depending on what kind of game you're trying to play. Now, as these are the same figures that you use for Crossmaster Arena, basically, except that they're all wearing sports outfits, they're very good quality, especially if you like this chibi style look. You'll enjoy these guys a lot. I do wish that they were not just like, hey, I'm blue, I'm red. It's a little I don't know. I just wish it wasn't so symmetrical like that. The game even comes with cards for them so that you can use them in Crossmaster Arena. So that's what these cards are for, essentially. The cards for the game are okay. You know, they use a lot of the same artwork on some of the cards, like Strong Tackle and Brutal Tackle. There's just a different color background. Symbology is not too hard, though. It pretty much makes sense. If I'm doing tackle, this is what happens. I wouldn't have minded maybe a little reference sheet to show. The game comes with a little dice tower here that you can drop in. That looks pretty cool next to the board. It also comes with these stands here, which is where you'll put these little cards if you're using them. It also comes with these boards to show who's tackling and things like that. Everything fits inside this box, which is frankly way too big for the game, because you'll notice how much of the game, how much of this is not being used. But components are pretty good for the most part. One thing I want to mention here is that the rule book is really not that well written. Constantly going through here, what does this mean? What is this? And there's all these rules when essentially it just comes down to, you want to do something, roll die, other person roll die, add the stars of your characters, see who wins. And on one hand, I don't mind that. It's a super light game, right? That's fine. But if it's a super light game, why is there 15 big pages of rules with all these cards and all these things you're looking at? And at the end of the day, you're just kicking, tackling. And I'm not a big fan of these style of games anyway, if they're just random. Like, I know that everyone loves Blood Bowl, and I found Blood Bowl to be too random. Well, this makes Blood Bowl look like chess in comparison. Now, you might say, well, yeah, but this is made for kids and stuff. I get that. But if it's made for kids, it's almost too complex for that. Everything is a die roll. I'm going to try to steal a ball from you. Die roll. I'm going to kick over here. And I don't feel like I'm ever at any point making any sound strategic thing. I will try to tackle you with my strong person who's good at tackling. Obviously. I'm going to try to kick the ball with the person who's good at kicking. Obviously. And it's just so like scripted, but it's not interesting because nothing matters. You might be good at kicking and you roll 0 stars and I roll 3. And the cards add even more chaos to it. The special abilities are kind of like, I'm good at tackling. Great, tackle. Well, I will do so. And then you have people getting kicked off. You spend more time trying to figure out what to do with someone when they're knocked out than you do kicking the ball around. The game's just to run around and punch people. Now, granted, that makes for some fun sports games, right, to run around and punch people, but this one doesn't seem to stand out from everything else, except it uses the same chibi figures that are used in Crossmaster Arena. And I get that this is another way to sell those. If you like Crossmaster Arena, oh my goodness, here's 10 characters you don't have. Buy this game, and you get an extra game thrown in. And I mean, what am I going to say? Games Workshop has done this many times with their Warhammer games where you get figures and you use them in Warhammer. So this probably works, but I just wasn't that impressed with this one. It felt like a lot of rules that weren't very well written, trying to figure out, but when you actually play the game, you're like, wow, it's just random. Everything is random. Everything comes down to rolling that same die over and 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 over again. You could have given me 2 of those dice, by the way, with all the pieces in this game. So, Boufbowl, just wasn't a big fan of it, which is too bad because it looks super fun. So, there you go. Dice Tower Judgment, crazy random.